we've got 8 stages. So the first stage in the human being, if you're about an infant from 0 to 2 years, you learn how to trust. Okay? So that's why when the baby cries, you must go and hold the baby because they learn how to trust. So if some of the babies are not held, they become adults who've got trust issues. Okay? From about 3 to 6, 7 years old, you learn issues of shame. That's why when kids sort of like urinate in bed, you must not shout at them because we've got adults that never recover from that. We've got adults that are even wetting their beds today because of that shame that they felt when they were young. Okay? And then from the age of 9 to about 13, you learn identity, and then you learn value. Okay, that's where the father figure actually comes in. I've got a friend that I was counseling the other day, and she said to me, from the ages of 9 to 13, the dad was moving around the whole time, changing jobs. And what she found out is that when she was now an adult, she started changing jobs. You had to go back and say, but there, because you were forming a bit of identity, that's why you're now changing jobs. She's like unstable with jobs that she's doing. So she'll do something for like 3 months and then resign and do something else. But it's because it was shaped at that age. So you see how your age and what happens at certain ages actually shapes how you become as an adult, right? I'm just making an example. So when you get to the teenage stages, that's when you start experimenting. So if you lack a bit of identity, that's why in the teenage stages you'll find people are starting to smoke and starting to drink, starting to experiment with drugs. Some of them recover, some of them never recover, because that stage is where you're starting to form a bit of identity. So there are 3 types of human beings, okay? So there is, some of us are auditory, some of us are visual, some of us are kinesthetic. What am I? What do you think I am? Auditory, you talk a lot. I had a conference the other day, I think it was last year, where I was talking about the auditory people, to say people must not discourage you from talking. And the lady actually turned to a pastor this year because she was discouraged the whole time that she was talking too much. And then she actually became a pastor this year because she started feeling confident about herself. So auditory is people that talk, like me. I talk a lot. I can talk the whole day. All right? So that's why I get paid to do it. I'll send you an invoice, Mamina. Okay? So auditory people are the Vusitebewayo and those kind of stuff because they've identified themselves as auditory. Okay? We've got kinesthetic people. Kinesthetic people are the people that feel. They like hugging, they like playing the piano, they're very artistic. Alright? So I'm identifying with these things so that you can realize that your career has to go to that path. And if you want to change your career, you must actually identify yourself of who you are. And then we've got visual people, so the people that see. You know, when you write on the board, the people that catch the information from you writing on the board. Does it click? Do you identify yourself with these 3 things? Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can identify yourself with these 3 things, then are you in the right career? Not really. Not really. Because your career choice or what you're going to do in life is based on these 3 things. So what we've done is that we've sort of like went into wrong things that are depressing us because we didn't know who we are. There's another thing that is called, that is also a gift. You know, crying is a gift. So when a movie plays and you are the one that cries the whole time, you've got a gift. We call it the gift of mercy. So you're the one that is supposed to open up orphanage homes and. So what I'm finding out when I'm speaking to a lot of people are discouraged about all these things. That's why they chose the wrong careers. Because now when you're crying, you're not too loud. You don't cry. And the people don't now go into the right careers because they were discouraged from crying and other people were discouraged from talking too much. But it's actually a gift. All these things are gifts. We were meant to be different. And it's a beautiful space to be in. So when I started the tennis academy, and I think 2 years ago, I started getting a bit tired. Okay? But it was way before. I think 5, 6 years ago before COVID, I started venturing into other things. But I used to feel so guilty. You know, now you're owning a tennis academy, now you're doing netball. I used to feel so guilty now I'm robbing people of me being the tennis coach. And then I got to realize we must stop being apologetic about who we are. Because when I'm a busybody, I do God, I do a million things. And I got to realize that the million things that I'm doing is based on my genes, my DNA. Okay? So if you look at my family, if you look at my mom, if you look at my dad, there's a part of me that's got my mommy, and there's a part of me that's got my dad. So once I started tapping into that in a positive form now, I started feeling less guilty about who I am. Okay? Because if you look at my mom, she's big in entrepreneurship. You know, we used to sell kettles, balloons and stuff. That's what I get my entrepreneurship skills from. And if you look at my dad, he's the Yamaka, he's everywhere. I mean, he was a foreman in Columbus, he had a bottle store, he was a pastor at some stage, man. He was in the ANC at some stage. So he was everywhere. I mean, when he passed on, he was a big shot in the EFF. So I started saying, but if I've got a DNA like that, that's what's pushing me, because I can't do one thing because of that. Then I started feeling guilty about it. And then I started venturing to other things. And even now, there's people that are fighting me about it. Yeah, but why are you owning a tennis academy? Now you've got an aftercare center. People don't understand that you can be diverse. You can do 3 or 4 or 5 things at once. And I got to realize, but there's nothing wrong with it. So now, when I started being compatible about that, I started doing a lot of things, and I'm very happy with what I'm doing. So the message, don't feel guilty about who you are, but tap into the genes. So now report your mom or your dad, what genes are you getting there? When we actually motivate the matrix, I went and I motivated the matrix last year, and I said to them, now, did your mom fail school? No. Did your dad fail school? No. So why are you failing then? Because you got part of you was there. So why are you failing then? So think about it in a positive form. What is your dad good in? Or what was your dad good in? What is your mom good in? What was your mom good in? Then you tap into that and you realize how good you're going to be with whatever you're doing. Because then you're going to tap into the family tree. What we've done, we've actually done the opposite. So when you go into the soul activation thing and you go deep into people have done the opposite. So what they've done is that I was angry at my dad, I was angry at my mom, that I didn't get to tap into the positive side of them. I got to tap into the negative side of them. That's why I become like them. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense. We become the negative part of it, okay, because we're tapping into the negative. So this morning I just want to encourage you to say, think about it. Think about the stages, okay? There was a lady that I was dealing with. When she was in high school, she was told that, I think in grade 10 or something like that, she was told by one guy that she's ugly. And then, now she's married with 3 kids. She's still struggling with that part of her life. That she has to feel like, am I pretty or am I ugly? So you must realize that some of the things that were said to us, you are fat or you're dark, or that's why I never want to hear words like yellow bone or whatever with kids, because that is dangerous. I don't want you to refer to kids with color or weight, because those things matter the most when they go in life. That's why you find people stop. They're like, why are you not working? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Because people were told certain things when they were young. They were told we're not good enough when they were young, and that thing they carried over up until in their old age. So think about it. What I said to you in the past that is making you stop. Because those things matter. You don't realize it now. You don't realize why you're so demotivated, or why it feels like you're lazy, or why it feels like you're not in your career path now. But it's because of how you grew up. So all these things matter. So today you've got a lot of information. Okay, let me go back and say, in all these stages was I affirmed? Because when you're 9 to 13, you have to be affirmed. Well, you're affirmed. If you're not affirmed, then it becomes a problem. Because now every time you go into a job situation, you always feel like you're not good enough, right? So when you affirmed at that age, when you go into the stage or teenage stage, I remember my teenage stages. I remember you were even called one day when I nearly failed grade 11 because